Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Did you know Microsoft has officially ended support for Windows 10? Upgrade to Windows 11 with an LG Gram laptop. Voted PC Mag's Reader's Choice Top Laptop Brand for 2025. Thin and ultra lightweight, the LG Gram keeps you productive anywhere. And Windows 11 gives you access to free security updates and ongoing feature upgrades. Visit lgusa.com/iHeart for great seasonal savings on LG Gram laptops with Windows 11. PC Mag Reader's Choice used with permission. All rights reserved.
And away we go. Episode 1228 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Tuesday, December 30th, 2025. It is the 13-year anniversary of one of the greatest regular season wins in Washington history. The Redskins' 28-18 win over the Dallas Cowboys at FedEx Field on Sunday Night Football to win the NFC East in the very last game of the NFL's 2012 regular season. What a night that was. December 30th, 2012. Quite a bit has changed for our team since then, including the name. The Commanders, as the team now is known, their finale for this 2025 regular season is this Sunday. The 4-12 Commanders at the 11-5 Philadelphia Eagles is Sunday afternoon at 4:25. I don't know, something tells me that game will not be remembered as fondly as that regular season-ending win over the Cowboys 13 years ago today. Hello and welcome to this Tuesday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. We on Monday afternoon heard from Commanders head coach Dan Quinn for the first time since his post-game press conference for the team's 30-23 loss to the Cowboys at Northwest Stadium this past Thursday afternoon, Christmas afternoon. Next segment, reaction to good news on center Tyler Biadasz and injury updates on other key players and discussion of whether the team will and why the team should not play key players in this game at the Eagles this Sunday. The following segment, conversation about the benching of safety Quan Martin in the loss to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon, and thoughts on forthright comments from Dan Quinn on some of the Commanders' biggest problems this season, including tackling, failing in winning time moments, and not playing complimentary football. As meaningless as this game at the Eagles this Sunday is, Dan Quinn on Monday afternoon actually said some interesting things. Also on the show, I'll talk Washington Capitals and Washington Wizards. The Caps, they now are just 3-5-3 over their last 11 games, a 5-3 loss at the Florida Panthers on Monday night. The Wizards, their 2-game winning streak is over, a 115-101 loss to the Phoenix Suns at Capital One Arena on Monday night. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. From Mike B on X on the Commanders-Cowboys rivalry, writes Mike. Somehow the two teams hugging it out post-game doesn't say rivalry. I don't think you could find archival footage of Tom Landry and George Allen or Roger Staubach and Joe Theismann doing this. Thank you for that, Mike. Netflix, during its telecast of the Commanders' loss to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon, played up the Washington-Dallas rivalry via showing a bunch of clips from the rivalry. And you probably noticed this, but most, if not all, of the clips were more than a decade old. And in most cases, were multiple decades old. And that, as much as anything, speaks to the state of the Washington-Dallas rivalry. The rivalry is on life support. That's sad, but that's true. I don't think that the players on either team care at all about the Washington-Dallas rivalry. I think that most executives and coaches on each team don't truly care about the Washington-Dallas rivalry. The Washington-Dallas rivalry, to whatever extent it exists, now is basically purely a fan thing. And the rivalry is a fan thing based primarily on things that happened in the 1970s and 1980s. There have been so few truly memorable moments in the Washington-Dallas rivalry over the last 30 years. And most of that is due to Washington being so bad for so long. A 33-season 14-game stretch of the 1993 through the 2025 seasons. Washington being so bad for so much of that stretch has led to so few Washington-Dallas games during the stretch truly being big games. I do think that the name change inflicted big-time damage to the rivalry. The name Redskins being retired inflicted serious damage to the Washington-Dallas rivalry. I mean, the phrase Commanders Cowboys does not have the same meaning as Redskins Cowboys, and I know that may sound silly to some of you, but I promise you there are plenty of people listening to this who cringe when they hear the phrase Commanders Cowboys. There's also this reason, and this reason was exacerbated on Christmas afternoon. Washington now is just 7-19 against Dallas since the start of the 2013 regular season. 7-19. Dallas has owned Washington for a long time now. And there's this, and this is a humbling reality, but many, if not most, Cowboys fans will tell you that the team's biggest rival is the Philadelphia Eagles, not the Washington Commanders. Trust me, I hope like heck that the Washington-Dallas rivalry becomes a big deal again. That would be awesome to see, but that's not where we are right now, and the reality is we have not been there for a very long time. Email from Alan on Dan Quinn. We on Monday's show, episode 1227, spoke with Scott Jackson, co-host of the official Commanders postgame show on the Washington Commanders radio network, about whether the Commanders should/will fire Dan Quinn in the coming weeks. Writes Alan, "Hi Al, hope you and your family are enjoying the holiday season. Of course, not including watching the Commanders on Christmas. Hoping you can talk me through the concerns I have for the Commanders. I was not happy when they hired DQ because of how outcoached he appeared in the Dallas-Green Bay playoff game. Am I alone in thinking that our defense often looks exactly like that? Clueless and out of place. In short, completely outcoached. I refuse to blame all of this on talent and injuries. I've been watching football for 50 years, and I a number of times have seen a team that was considered bad because of the team's roster and then completely turn around when the right coach came on board. Seeing Emmanuel Forbes excel on the Rams, to me, reinforces our coaching problems, as does our inability to develop our tight ends and other high-pick players. I believe DQ is a good leader of men, and that is a critical attribute for a head coach. However, this team needs teachers and X's and O's innovators. I'm slowly slipping back into apathy for this team. Help! Happy and healthy New Year, and keep up the outstanding work you consistently do and the outlet you provide for our suffering." Thank you for the email, Alan. Much appreciated. Alan is not wrong to have these concerns. I know that many of you have these concerns. I have these concerns. It absolutely is disturbing how bad the Commanders' defense has been over Dan Quinn's 2 seasons as the team's head coach. Regarding these 2 NFL draft classes for the Commanders with Adam Peters as general manager, 2024 and 2025. So it's not that the classes are definite busts. It's that we haven't seen enough from the classes yet to label them successes. There still is a realistic path by which we at this time next season feel like these classes are successes. It hopefully is the case that Peters has nailed his 2 first-round picks, quarterback Jaden Daniels and right tackle Josh Connerly Jr. We know the deal with Daniels, outstanding last season, injury plague this season. He needs to stay healthy. Connerly has come along as this season has gone on. I am feeling good about Connerly right now. There are 3 other rookies who have been impactful this season. Cornerback Trey Amos, receiver Jalen Lane, who has had one of the best punt returning seasons in franchise history, and running back Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. You feel good about those guys. So this 2025 draft class so far looks pretty good. The concern is the 2024 draft class, especially if Jaden Daniels can't stay healthy. But let's put him off to the side for a moment. The Commanders in the 2024 NFL draft had 3 second-round picks and 2 third-round picks. The 5 players taken with those picks: interior defensive lineman Johnny Newton, cornerback Mikey Sainristil, tight end Ben Sinnott, offensive tackle/guard Brandon Coleman, and receiver Luke McCaffrey. There are things to like about each guy. There is reason for optimism with each guy, but it's also entirely possible that each guy is a miss. We have not seen enough good from any of those 5 players to label any one of them a hit, and that's concerning. The potential for Adam Peters to have gone 0 for 5 on those picks over the second and third rounds of the 2024 NFL Draft is concerning. So you got to hope that these guys do well next season. And I throw a player who the team took in the 5th round of that draft, linebacker Jordan McGee, into that mix as well. Email from Dennis Kemp in Laurel, Maryland, on what I posted on X shortly after the Commanders lost to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon, and talked about on this past Friday show, episode 1226, that this game was the final game of the Commanders' 8 standalone games in the NFL's 2025 regular season, a franchise record for a regular season. And our team in those games went 0-8 with a point differential of -77. And as I concluded my post on X, quote, Sunday at 1 p.m., we miss you. We'll see a lot of you next season, end quote. Writes Dennis. Al, the good thing about being 0-8 in standalone broadcasts and only a few wins total for the season is back to Sundays at 1 p.m. in 2026. Hello to Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma for the season. As a season ticket holder, Sundays at 1 work for me. Happy New Year to you and your family. Thank you very much, Dennis. Same to you. The phrase Sunday at 1 p.m. has never sounded as good as it sounds right now, right? This season, with all of these standalone games, has felt like us having to wear, uncomfortable black tie attire with uncomfortable shoes. What we presume we will have a lot of next season. Games on Sundays at 1 p.m., that's going to feel like wearing sweatpants with your favorite sweatshirt, comfortable, familiar. You know that feeling that you get when you change from formal clothes to comfortable clothes, comfy clothes, as some say? That's what going from all of these standalone games this season to presumably many more Sunday at 1 p.m. games next season will feel like for us as Washington fans. Hey, Cash App is the best way to make sure that your financial transactions are safe. You can stay one step ahead of scams and keep your money secure with Cash App. Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card so you can act fast if something seems off. You also can lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. And if you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true and Cash App flags the deal as a potential scam, Cash App will warn you before you send the money. Cash App is here for you, and for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use Cash App's exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App, use the exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Did you know Microsoft has officially ended support for Windows 10? Upgrade to Windows 11 with an LG Gram laptop. Voted PC Mag's Reader's Choice Top Laptop Brand for 2025. Thin and ultra lightweight, the LG Gram keeps you productive anywhere. And Windows 11 gives you access to free security updates and ongoing feature upgrades. Visit lgusa.com/iHeart for great seasonal savings on LG Gram laptops with Windows 11. PC Mag Reader's Choice used with permission. All rights reserved.
Hey, please consider subscribing to the podcast if you're not already doing that. Subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you. We have the 4-12 Washington Commanders at the 11-5 Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday afternoon at 4:25 in Week 18 of the NFL's 2025 regular season. Our team's brutally disappointing 2025 season will end this Sunday evening, and then begins a huge offseason for our team. You know me, I'm all in on Operation Lose Out 2.0. I know that many of you are as well. The Commanders have lost 10 of their last 11 games. One more game to go. One more loss to go. The Commanders currently have the number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. The good news is that they are guaranteed to get no worse than the number 7 overall pick in the draft, and could get as high as the number 2 overall pick in the draft. That would be outstanding. That also is highly unlikely. For what it's worth, ESPN Analytics have the Commanders as having a 24.2% chance of getting a top 5 pick in the draft. The overwhelming likelihood is the Commanders getting the number 7 or number 6 overall pick in the draft, but we shall see. The Commanders on Monday held a jog-through type practice. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn, he on Monday afternoon did a post-practice press conference, his first session with reporters since the team's 30-23 loss to the Dallas Cowboys at Northwest Stadium this past Thursday afternoon, Christmas afternoon, and Quinn gave us an update on center Tyler Biadasz. He in that loss to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon was knocked out of the game due to suffering knee and ankle injuries in the second quarter. There was concern that Biadasz had suffered a serious injury or had suffered serious injuries, especially given the team's horrendous injury luck this season. Well, on Monday afternoon, had this back and forth between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Dan Quinn.
Dan, can you give us an update on Tyler Biadasz?
Yes, Tyler had injured both his ankle and his knee, John, so it'll be a tough stretch for him to make it back for this game this weekend.
Was there something torn? Is this something he's going to need surgery on, or is this
no surgery at this time? But something that will knock him out likely for this week. But no surgery, so that's good of where we're at, but certainly not at a level where he's got the mobility and movement just yet.
All right, excellent news on Tyler Biadasz. He does not need surgery, at least not at this time. He is unlikely to play at the Eagles this Sunday. Okay, fine. In fact, good. I don't want a player as important as Biadasz playing this Sunday, but I was really happy to hear that Biadasz did not suffer a serious knee injury or a serious ankle injury. Again, given the Commanders' horrendous injury luck this season, we've been conditioned to assume the worst, and how bad would it have been if Biadasz in this basically meaningless game against the Cowboys had suffered a serious injury that lingered into next regular season? What about the situation at quarterback? The Commanders in the loss to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon started the QB3 Josh Johnson. The QB1 Jaden Daniels was inactive for the 9th time in 16 games in this regular season, as he, of course, has been shut down for the season. The QB2 Marcus Mariota, he was inactive off suffering hand and quadriceps injuries in the Commanders' 29-18 loss to the Eagles at Northwest Stadium on December 20th. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
What is the chances of Marcus playing in the final game?
Yeah, Nikki, he wasn't ready today to participate. Like we had a very light jog through, so he wasn't to that spot yet. So until it gets to full speed and can really cut and stop and start, that's when we would say. So I'll have a better sense when I visit with you on Wednesday, and if he's able to, resume the type of movements that we had. But as it was today, it'd been a stretch to get there, but I'm hopeful, as I have for a few days, to see what it could look like, and if he could really be himself, then he'd have a real shot at it, but I don't know that today.
And as with Tyler Biadasz, there is 0 point in Marcus Mariota playing in this game at the Eagles this Sunday. He is the Commanders' QB2. He is a good QB2. He is set to be an unrestricted free agent this coming offseason, but I want the Commanders to re-sign him. I believe that they do want to re-sign him. Why risk injury for him in this game that the team, let's be honest, is better off losing? Now, if Mariota doesn't play at the Eagles this Sunday, is Josh Johnson again the Commanders' starting quarterback? We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Dan Quinn.
Hey, Dan, if Marcus can't go on Sunday, how do you see the quarterback situation playing out?
Yeah, we'd lean and start with Josh again, Scott. And then as far as behind him, we'll just still discuss that between Sam and with Jeff. But if Marcus couldn't, then we'd lean in with Josh again. And there was honestly a lot that I liked in the game I know it was a short week, but the preparation of what and how we featured him, I thought was the right space. And, like from a decision-making process, I thought, Josh did a lot of things correct that I liked. So we would lean in that way again, for sure, if Marcus can't.
All right, interesting. If Marcus Mariota doesn't play at the Eagles this Sunday, Josh Johnson will be the Commanders' starting quarterback for a second consecutive game, but the team's top backup quarterback for the game might be Sam Hartman and not Jeff Driscoll. Dan Quinn last week did allude to that possibility. The Commanders' top backup quarterback for the loss to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon was Jeff Driscoll, who the team on December 22nd announced as having signed off the Arizona Cardinals practice squad to the active roster. He, of course, spent last season as the Commanders' QB3. And Sam Hartman, for the loss to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon, was the Commanders' QB3. He was a healthy and active, but was designated as the team's emergency quarterback as the Commanders this past Wednesday afternoon, Christmas Eve afternoon, announced having signed Hartman from the practice squad to the active roster. So Hartman is, in fact, now on the Commanders' active roster. Another key injured player for the Commanders is left tackle Laramie Tunsil. He has been inactive for each of the team's last two games due to an oblique injury. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Tom Schad of the Washington Post and Dan Quinn.
I was also going to ask, kind of in that same vein, about Laramie and I guess just other guys in that spot. Are you at a point now where if they have some sort of nicks and bruises that you lean towards holding them out? Maybe earlier in the season you would have pushed them to go, that sort of thing.
Good question, Tom. That part for him, and he's got strength going straight ahead. This oblique, it's the turning and torquing to go. So until that comes, fully around with Laramie, then we'll have a better answer for that. As it sat today, he wouldn't be able to, do that. Everything with your oblique is all about the rotation and the power that comes from that. So, like I said, the health, it does come into effect, but if it's something that a guy can play and play well, then I think that would be different.
And as with Tyler Biadasz and Marcus Mariota, there is 0 point in Laramie Tunsil playing in this game at the Eagles this Sunday. He is a franchise left tackle. He is a major candidate for a big money contract extension this coming offseason. Why risk injury for him in this game that the team is better off losing? One more injury update. Interior defensive lineman Daron Payne, he for the loss to the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon was inactive due to a back injury. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Tashawn Reed of the Washington Post and Dan Quinn.
And one more injury note, Daron Payne obviously didn't play last week due to his back injury. Do you have any update on him?
Yes, I'm glad you brought up Daron. So he was able to do the walkthrough today, so I would think that's a good sign for him heading into the week of where it's at. His back was not in a good space day of game, but treatment through then from the last few days, I would say he's trending in the right way for sure for us. So that's a good sign.
Trending in the right direction, good, but hopefully not for the purpose of playing in this game at the Eagles this Sunday. One more time, why risk injury for a guy like Daron Payne in this game that the Commanders are better off losing? And, this goes for other players too, like receiver Terry McLaurin. Dan Quinn on Monday afternoon was not talking like a head coach who plans on resting a bunch of key players in this regular season finale at the Eagles this Sunday. I get him not talking that way, but I really hope that he is thinking that way. And you got to wonder what general manager Adam Peters and even managing partner Josh Harris are thinking. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Nicky Javala and Dan Quinn.
And I know this has been a hot topic or a talking point within the NFL, just among potentially resting starters in the final game for teams that aren't in position to play in the playoffs. Is that something that has come up for you? Is that in consideration at all?
It hasn't come up with us. Not something we're considering. Health definitely factors in with all the guys, Nikki, you know that. But if the guys are healthy and they can play and do the things they need to, then that would be one. But it definitely factors in, but not on the healthy player, if that makes sense to you.
So Dan Quinn right there explicitly saying that the Commanders are not considering resting non-injured players in this game at the Eagles this Sunday. Look, I understand the machismo nature of the NFL, but from a team-building standpoint, from a big-picture standpoint, not being willing to rest key non-injured players in a regular season finale for a season in which the team is eliminated from playoff contention is the wrong way to go. An NFL head coach should not behave out of fear. That is true. But an NFL head coach should behave out of smart thinking, out of intellect, out of intelligence. What is the point of risking serious injury with a Terry McLaurin this Sunday? We on Monday afternoon had this back and forth between Commanders insider Ben Standing of Last Man Standing on Substack and Dan Quinn.
And to go back to the question that Nikki asked about how this time of year, there's always a discussion of do you sit some guys who are maybe borderline with injuries just because it's the end of the year and maybe your team focuses a little bit more on the draft, even if you don't want to say that publicly. You said that you guys had not discussed that, and I'm just curious as to why not discuss it, considering the people who are making these decisions will presumably all be here next year. So this year factors in the next year. Why not consider that?
Yeah, I want to preface it to say, like, it's the health part. Like, we wouldn't make the decision on somebody that wasn't able to. I think that's an important piece to it too, Ben. Like, all the guys are going to push to go, and we'll always try to make the best decision for them and the team. And for a lot of them, it's development. For a lot of them, it's the playing, it's the competing. It's part of what we do and who we are. I recognize the question by you and Nikki both. And if there was a scenario like that, that wasn't due to injury, that would be something we'd be comfortable talking about. It's just not part of, our discussions and what we do. We wouldn't have any issue discussing it. It's just not part of our philosophy.
I really do wonder if a discussion between Adam Peters and Dan Quinn, maybe Josh Harris, Adam Peters, and Dan Quinn, about whether to rest key players, injured or healthy, for this game at the Eagles this Sunday is coming. Such a discussion should be coming. And, resting these guys isn't just about keeping them healthy. It's also about giving other players opportunity. Take, for instance, linebacker Bobby Wagner, who is set to be an unrestricted free agent this coming offseason. Why not, for this game at the Eagles this Sunday, have second-year linebacker Jordan McGee play on 100% of the Commanders' defensive snaps like Wagner routinely does, and have Wagner play the reduced role to see if McGee can handle Wagner's role? Why not give that a shot? What exactly do you have to lose at this point? What exactly do you have to lose with this terrible defense? We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Tom Shad and Dan Quinn.
And then I just wanted to ask kind of more broadly, and we've asked you this earlier in the season about balancing, like, taking a look at younger guys versus more experienced guys and how you kind of try to do both. Does that calculus change at this point entering Week 18? Are you at a point where you might give a bit of a longer leash, I guess, to some of the younger players where maybe you wouldn't have a month ago?
Yeah, I think when you earn more, that's fair, Tom, to say. The space for more playing time, more opportunities to go, and featuring those guys in spaces. Sometimes it's not even as much the extended playing time as it is, they get their ops, whether it's a, part of a progression, featured in some certain down and distances. But that definitely, some extended looks could also be by design, if that makes sense. May not even be the volume of plays, but the design too.
All right, we'll see. I tell you, with this Commanders regular season finale at the Eagles this Sunday, actually am very interested in who plays and for how much. Today's law group, Accident and Injury Lawyers, it will fight for you and win for you. Just recently, an $8 million jury verdict in Baltimore City Circuit Court in a case in which today's law group represented the family of a 42-year-old man who died after a simple procedure. Lead attorney Chris Nace is a big Commanders fan and big supporter of this podcast, and his firm wins trials. If you have a case, contact the Nace Law Group. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group is tremendous. It is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. The Nace Law Group fights for victims of all kinds of situations, including victims of errors made during diagnosis, during surgery or with medication. Victims of injuries caused by dangerous medications or medical devices, as well as defective auto parts. Victims of accidents involving cars, trucks, bikes, or motorcycles. Victims of deceptive trade practices and false advertising. Heck, victims of shady lawyers. If your attorney acts in bad faith, is unethical in his or her counsel, or is negligent in his or her work, you could have a claim for legal malpractice. The NACE Law Group has represented corporate clients throughout the region. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the NACE Law Group and schedule a no-obligation appointment. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the NACE Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. More now on the Washington Commanders off head coach Dan Quinn's post-practice press conference on Monday afternoon as we get hyped for the 4-12 Commanders at the 11-5 Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday afternoon at 4:25 and Week 18 of the NFL's 2025 regular season. The Commanders at 4-12 have the third worst record in the NFC. Their point differential of -102 is the second worst point differential in the NFC, and they, of course, have been hammered by injury. This is the definition of a lost season. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Dan Quinn.
What is this week like for you, Dan? Because this is the final week. You guys are all going to be together. I mean, this is a team that's been together, since OTAs and minicamp.
Yes.
I guess from the emotional aspect, bittersweetness, what are the feelings right now knowing this is the final week together?
Yeah, because I think what I said to the guys, Scott, I know behind the scenes, there's a lot of unseen work that goes into it that people aren't lining up to talk about. But I would say that I'm the one that does notice that, of all the extra time on rehab, the extra time, on the unseen work. So I want to let them know that I do see that and I appreciate it. And so there's no brotherhood quite like a football brotherhood. And so into this space, their chance to, go against another division team and playing for one another. I've seen a lot of that from our team, Scott. And so that's a group, that I certainly love to represent, no doubt about it.
Well, the Commanders in this lost season have not quit on Dan Quinn. That is a good thing. I have been happy to see that. I'd be surprised and disappointed if the team does quit in this game at the Eagles this Sunday. We'll see, but I am expecting the Commanders to play hard and hopefully play well, but in a loss. Someone who in the Commanders' last game, the 30-23 loss to the Dallas Cowboys at Northwest Stadium this past Thursday afternoon, Christmas afternoon, who did not play well, was safety Quan Martin. He was a big-time culprit on the 86-yard touchdown reception by receiver Cavante Turpin with exactly 7 minutes left in the second quarter. Martin in the game played on just 30% of the Commanders' defensive snaps. He for the game had an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of 40.3. That's quite bad. PFF grades are on a scale of 0 to 160 as average. On Friday's show, episode 1226 surmised that Martin had been benched, and sure enough, he was. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Dan Quinn.
Hey, Dan, just curious, Quan Martin, snaps have gone down in recent weeks, pretty low for him this last game. Just curious what led to that change in his role.
Yep. There was a busted assignment, Ben, that eliminated some of his reps. And so, as I was kind of referring to with David earlier, there had been a big mistake in the game regarding coverage. And so there were consequences to that. I'd like to also say, I love Quan and I believe in him. And that's not so unusual when a difficult play happens, that you change and they have to come stand on the sideline for a moment because my belief in him is sky high. But that would have been the reason behind the less playing time in that specific moment.
Very rough season for Quan Martin. Third time in recent weeks that he got benched. He in the 44-22 loss at the Cowboys on October 19th played on just 60% of the Commanders' defensive snaps. He in the 16-13 overtime loss to the Miami Dolphins in Madrid, Spain on November 16th played on just 66% of the Commanders' defensive snaps. And now he in this 30-23 loss to the Cowboys at Northwest Stadium on Christmas afternoon played on a mere 30% of the Commanders' defensive snaps. Quan Martin for this regular season has an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of just 51.9. When we talk about the major change that is almost certainly coming to the Commanders' defense this coming offseason, how in the world can the team go into next regular season with Quan Martin as a starting safety, given the 2025 season that this guy has had? Now, we heard Dan Quinn in that answer there reference a back and forth between David Aldridge of The Athletic and Quinn on Monday afternoon. Here was that back and forth.
Hey, Dan. With regard to the fundamental errors, are you seeing physical, mental combination, and is one more vexing than the other?
Yeah, the mental one's more vexing for sure. Like when like a technique where like it calls for a certain coverage, a certain check, a certain route, a certain split. Those are the ones for sure that you want to make sure, okay, that part is eliminated. The physical ones, when you're playing a good technique and you get beat, I can live with that. And I showed that to a certain degree today in the game. We say, okay, we're going to double this player, and if it goes somewhere else, we can live with that, knowing that like the featured player, the design of it wasn't there. Those are ones, as a coach, you can say, all right, by design, they hit to the right person. The ones where you allow, a free runner on a blitz or a conversion where you didn't, match the right way, those are the ones that are particularly costly for us. So that's what I wanted to work on, and I'll continue to shrink until I find that right balance to say, hey, this is the most important thing that we need to do, in this game to go win it. But there's a little bit of a balance of both for sure.
And considering the way the season's gone, I guess I'm asking if a player consistently at this point in the season is still making those types of mistakes, whether they're physical or mental, consistently, how do you then evaluate that player in terms of wanting to bring them back next year? Yeah,
it's for sure even in season some to say, okay, does he sit some during that game? Is the solution fixed? But yeah, all of those factor into it. Yeah, you're 100% correct to say these are teaching that we've seen and it's still not getting done versus, okay, getting beat on a technique where we can continue to work with that player. So, both of those are part of the ongoing, evaluations for all of us.
Yeah, and Quan Martin this late in this season committing a screw-up as big as the one that resulted in the 86-yard touchdown reception by Kevontae Turpin is why Martin got benched to the degree that he did. But we heard Dan Quinn discuss the Commanders' fundamentals needing to be better. Yep, ain't nobody saying that this Commanders team is excelling in the department of fundamentals. And that does not reflect well on the coaching staff, by the way. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Tashawn Reed of the Washington Post and Dan Quinn.
Dan, I know you mentioned, wanting to see those fundamentals get cleaned up in particular this week. Looking ahead to next year, is that something that you feel like you need to put a greater emphasis on in the offseason? Sort of just those fine details that have kind of shown up at times this season? I think so, Sean. Everything's, to me, up to evaluate again, even the, what you can emphasize at practice through the offseason program and especially during the training camp time. So I wanted to go back and look to see where can we add, where do we, emphasize different things during different parts. So I do feel like that's, something that needs to be consistently reinforced over and over and over again. If that part of our play style is right, Sean, then I think a lot of other things can go. But when I feel that being turbulent, then I see the play being turbulent. And so I want to make sure this is how we do that all the time. And so certainly continuity has something to do with that when guys are playing together more. But the fundamental piece, man, that's not changing for me. We have to get that part right.
Yes, you do, including tackling. How bad has the Commanders' tackling been this season? The Commanders for this regular season, as of games through Sunday, were next to last in the NFL in fewest missed tackles per Sport Radar, 125. Think about that. 125 missed tackles over 16 games. That is awful. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Candy Waller of Bowie TV Sports and Dan Quinn.
When it comes to tackling, sometimes it seems like is it tackling or is it the attempt for a takeaway? So it looks like someone may be trying to punch the ball out versus making the tackle. And so how do you find that balance between just kind of the art of punching the ball out to get a takeaway or to force a fumble there versus just making the tackle?
Yep. I wish I could say that was the case. It's not been the case as much as it may seem. It hasn't been as good rap and driving your feet through the contact as it is. I'm going to be reckless and go take my one chance at the ball. So the art of tackling is really about leverage, and it's owning that leverage. And if you stop your feet too early, you can lose it. If you get head up on somebody as opposed to maintaining a leverage with your shoulder, you can lose it. And so it's as much, Candy, of working and owning and maintaining that leverage as it is, going to try and take the ball away. That's a really important part for us of forcing fumbles, but not over tackling. So the ones that we've missed, I would say by large majority, have not been somebody was reckless punching at it as opposed to tackling. But when you see good tackling, it's the feet on contact. And I thought Bobby's games over the last couple of weeks, his tackling, you saw the striking and the feet on contact. That's what really strong tackling looks like, especially in the open field. Candy, especially in the open field. That's the most challenging ones.
Yeah, I'll say this about Dan Quinn's post-practice press conference on Monday afternoon. He was open about some of the team's biggest problems, was open about benching Quan Martin, was open about the team's bad tackling, was open about the Commanders so often failing in, as Quinn calls them, winning time moments. So we on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Zavala of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
You had mentioned that execution, and I know, and I think it was after the game, you mentioned the winning time moments not being there, much like they were last season. Has that been among the things that sort of surprised you this season, especially since a lot of the guys were here last year?
Yes. That execution of nailing exactly what to do in that space. It hasn't been as much of the last play of the games, those type of scenarios, Nikki, I felt have been strong. It's the ones of third and fourth downs, some of the 2-minute ops to go. Like there was a scenario in the game, you don't love to be down 10 points, but I was pleased with the execution of the offense. We were able to get a kick in, before 2 minutes and 10 seconds, to kick off to the other team where we essentially have 4 timeouts. Well, the other part of that execution is getting the stops defensively to make them kick it again. So when I'm speaking of those, third and fourth downs have a big part of that. Sometimes just when the moments of the game change, when it's like, all right, we got the big run with Debo and we're down inside, the 2 or 3 yard line. Like we need points in that. So those moments, yes, of not being able to nail them and recognize this is that play, this is that moment that calls for the hyper focus. To not nail those in all 3 phases, that's been challenging for sure, and something that, I'm digging in as hard as we can, but that has to be much improved for damn sure.
Very true. Also, Dan Quinn, during this post-practice press conference on Monday afternoon, was open about the Commanders this season not playing complementary football. Now, the phrase complementary football to me is a massive football cliche that means different things to different people. Complementary football to me simply means playing well on offense, defense, and special teams. But the Commanders this season have not played complementary football. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Candy Waller and Dan Quinn.
Hey there, Coach. When you take a look at the season and, last season, I know you talked about, you wanted to build on that. And the complimentary football, there were moments throughout the season where it's kind of like we all saw it, and I'm sure, of course, you did. Of course, when you went and looked back at the film, you saw it there as well. But what do you think, what happened in terms of the consistency of that complimentary football? Do you think there were moments of it, but it seemed like it just didn't stick? So what do you think may have happened there?
Yeah, it's a valid, fair question, the ones that I've had lots of sleepless nights on. So it's definitely understandable. The consistency of those and executing those in those moments, we've missed them. And when you do, not like you're going to make every one of them. Like, I want to make sure I'm clear on that. You don't make every 2-point play. You don't make every fourth down chance, like no team does. But what you do want to do is make sure when those moments are there that you've done everything you can to put yourself into the right spot to go do that. And if you can put your head on the pillow saying, okay, we did all the right things. It didn't go our way. What I'd say I want to keep digging in on is to say, why the inconsistency? Do we need more reps at it? Do we need more time at it? Do we need more of the same people doing the same jobs over and over and over again? So some of that is a factor, the continuity, Candy, but other times it could be as simple as, okay, that was one concept and that's been caught up on. What's the new concept? What are the ways that you evolve as a team, as play callers? And so I think all of it is under review for me. If it was just one thing, for damn sure I would have put my finger on that. When it's a multitude of things and there's layers to it, you want to keep digging, and I'm into that space for sure.
All right. Hey, if you are planning a wedding or you know someone who is, check out or have that person check out cateringbyuptown.com. Catering by Uptown delivers not just delicious food of the highest quality, but also a flawless and memorable experience tailored to your special day. Catering by Uptown's team is dedicated to meeting your every need with elegance and precision. And if you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can set up your own personal tour of one of Catering by Uptown's premier venues, including outstanding waterfront venues. So also, Catering by Uptown is great for parties, so whether a birthday, an anniversary, a retirement, or a charity gala, Catering by Uptown understands that special events deserve to be celebrated in style. Catering by Uptown takes care of every detail so that you can enjoy your event. Catering by Uptown is a family business. It is run by the Pereiras, who are great Commanders fans and loyal supporters of this podcast. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. So the Washington Capitals on Monday night played the 4,000th regular season game in franchise history. The result, though, was a loss, a 5-3 loss at the Florida Panthers, who have won each of the last 2 Stanley Cup titles. So the Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season now are 20-14-5. The Caps now are just 3-5-3 over their last 11 games. So the Caps in this loss at the Panthers blew a 3-2 third period lead, lost the puck possession battle. The Caps had 25 shots on goal to the Panthers 29, and per natural stat trick had just 20 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Panthers 44, including 6 5-on-5 high danger shot attempts to the Panthers 9. But how about that? The Caps got more than doubled up in terms of 5-on-5 shot attempts, 20 to the Panthers 44. The Caps starting goaltender was Logan Thompson. He stopped just 24 of the 28 shots on goal that he faced. The Caps went 5 for 6 on the penalty kill. Lost despite a terrific game from second-line right wing Tom Wilson. He scored 2 goals, giving him a team-best 19 goals in this regular season. Wilson scored an even-strength goal 3:53 into the first period, and he scored a power play goal 19:17 into the first period as the Caps went 1 for 6 on the power play. Also, Wilson had a primary assist for his 18th assist in this regular season, in which he is number 1 on the Caps in points, 37. He registered a game-high 6 total shot attempts, and he was number 1 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 66.67. The Caps with Wilson on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 8 shot attempts versus allowing 4 shot attempts. Tom Wilson arguably has been the Caps MVP so far in this regular season. Also with 3 points in this game was Caps second-line center Dylan Strome. He scored an even-strength goal, 3:11 into the third period for his 8th goal in this regular season. Also, he had 2 assists, giving him a team-best 23 assists in this regular season. He went 14-5 on faceoffs, and he was number 2 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick, 52.17. The Caps with Strome on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 12 shot attempts versus allowing 11 shot attempts. Not a good game for Caps top-line right wing Alex Ovechkin. He had no points, registered just 4 total shot attempts, and committed a third-period interference minor. However, he did dish out a game-high 5 hits in this, his age 40 season. How about that? The great 8 in his age 40 season, dishing out a game-high 5 hits. So the Caps' healthy scratches for this game were winger Sonny Milano and defenseman Declan Chisholm and Dylan McElrath. Here was Caps head coach Spencer Carberry during his post-game session with reporters late night on Monday night.
I think it's a good game for us just to feel of going through it against the two-time defending Stanley Cup champs once again of there's not a lot going on in the game, right? It's a hard game. It's on the walls. It's puck battles down low. It's advancing pucks, and you just have to stay with it. And I felt like both teams were doing a pretty good job. Special teams plays a huge part. We weren't just quite able to do enough, especially offensively, with some pucks, with some forechecks, with some and I think that's just becomes the margins are so thin, right? And that would speak to your point of the standings in that, but that's where we just have to continue to push and continue to learn from that and get better at just staying consistent with it, shift after shift after shift, and embrace the monotony of that, even though at times there's not a lot going on, but you just never deviate for 60 straight minutes, and I felt like we just had a few moments where we deviated.
All right, next up for the Caps are games on back-to-back afternoons. Home to the New York Rangers Wednesday afternoon at 12:30 and at the Ottawa Senators Thursday afternoon at 1. Skincare. It is not just for women. Plenty of alpha males are open about their skincare. Guys like Tony Gonzalez and The Rock Dwayne Johnson. The best product for skincare is OneSkin. OneSkin formulas are powered by the OS1 peptide, a patented peptide built on longevity science proven to target aging at the cellular level. OneSkin supports the cellular repair that keeps your skin looking and feeling better as you get older. This is not about adding extra steps to your routine. This is about swapping in smarter steps. Born from over 10 years of longevity research, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the cells that cause the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthiest skin now and as you age. And for a limited time, OneSkin is making it even easier to stay consistent with up to 30% off your first 3 subscription orders when you use the promo code GALDY at oneskin.co/GALDY. That's oneskin.co/GALDY and use the promo code GALDY, oneskin.co/GALDY, up to 30% off with the promo code GALDY. And after you purchase, you'll be asked where you heard about OneSkin. Please support our show and say that Al Galdi sent you.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Did you know Microsoft has officially ended support for Windows 10? Upgrade to Windows 11 with an LG Gram laptop. Voted PC Mag's Reader's Choice Top Laptop brand for 2025. Thin and ultra lightweight, the LG Gram keeps you productive anywhere. And Windows 11 gives you access to free security updates and ongoing feature upgrades. Visit lgusa.com/iHeart for great seasonal savings on LG Gram laptops with Windows 11. PC Mag Reader's Choice used with permission. All rights reserved.
Well, the two-game winning streak for our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards is over. They on Monday night played for a third time in 4 nights, a 115-101 loss to the Phoenix Suns at Capital One Arena. The Wizards in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season now are 7-24. They, for this game, were without a bunch of key guys. Keyshawn George did not play for a second consecutive game due to left hip flexor soreness. Corey Kispert did not play for a third consecutive game due to a left hamstring strain. Cam Whitmore was not available for a 6th consecutive game, this due to upper extremity deep vein thrombosis, and Chris Middleton did not play due to right knee injury management. The Wizards trailed for all of the second half. Their offense was mixed. They went 13 for 32 on threes, but just 23 for 46 on twos and committed 16 turnovers. So the Wizards' defense was mixed. They allowed the Suns to go 17 for 40 on threes, but held the Suns to just 24 for 61 on twos. A big item in this game was offensive rebounding. The Wizards had just 9 offensive rebounds to the Suns' 20, got outscored in terms of second chance points, 26-10. Not a good game for Alex Sarr. He and the Wizards' 116-112 win over the Memphis Grizzlies at Capital One Arena on Sunday evening was terrific, but Sarr in this loss to the Suns on Monday night had one of his worst games of the season. Sarr in 24 minutes, 50 seconds as a starter had just 2 points and just 2 rebounds and registered a game-worst plus-minus rating of -28. He went 0 for 2 on threes and 1 for 3 on twos. Did not attempt a free throw. Did have 4 assists versus 2 turnovers and did have 2 blocks. A bright spot was Trey Johnson. He in 25-07 as a starter had 24 points and 2 assists versus 3 turnovers. He went 5 for 5 on threes, 4 for 7 on twos, and 1 for 1 on free throws. Next up for the Wizards at the Milwaukee Bucks, Wednesday night at 8. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Wednesday show, episode 1229, will include a lot for you on the Washington Commanders, including a conversation with a legend of Washington, D.C. area sports radio, Andy Pollin, about where the team's 2025 season ranks among the most disappointing seasons for the team since the end of the Redskins' glory days of the 1982 through 1992 seasons. We have quite a few disappointing seasons from which to choose. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll talk to you on Wednesday.
There's no brotherhood quite like a football brotherhood.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.